Welcome back, my probability amplitude-plagued patrons. I'm your quantum decohered consultant, simultaneously solving and creating IT problems across infinite realities. You're tuned into the Multiverse Employee Handbook, the only podcast that treats your tech support ticket like a wave function waiting to collapse into resolution. Speaking of collapse, I'm happy to report that last episode's sentient suggestion box has finally stopped filing complaints about its own existence. We've managed to reach a compromise where it now identifies as a quantum feedback aggregator and has agreed to stop creating parallel universes every time someone suggests Casual Friday. Though I should note that in at least one reality, it's now running the company's HR department. But today, dear listeners, we're diving into something even more paradoxical than a self-aware suggestion box. We're exploring the quantum conundrum known as technical support across the multiverse. Remember, in quantum customer service, every problem exists in a superposition of states until an IT professional observes it, at which point it either mysteriously resolves itself or transforms into a completely different issue that requires a level 2 escalation across 3 dimensions. You know how it goes. You submit a ticket about your printer not working, and by the time IT arrives, it's printing flawlessly. But the moment they leave, it starts producing documents from parallel universes where Comic Sans is the only font, and all emails must be written in iambic pentameter. It's enough to make even Werner Heisenberg uncertain about his career choices. But before we get to our regularly scheduled programming, let me interrupt this broadcast with an important announcement. Our help desk phone system is currently experiencing some quantum tunneling issues. If you find yourself mysteriously connected to tech support in the year 1995, please do not attempt to warn them about Y2K. We're still dealing with the temporal paradoxes from last time someone tried to explain cryptocurrency to the past. Let's just say the butterfly effect has nothing on the Bitcoin effect. And now gather round the quantum help desk, my technologically troubled time travelers, for a tale that would make even Steve Jobs think twice about planned obsolescence. I present to you The Ticket That Broke Causality, a story about what happens when "have you tried turning it off and on again" becomes a question of metaphysical significance. In the fluorescently lit purgatory of Quantum Dynamics Incorporated's IT department, Sarah Chen was having what could charitably be described as a quantum headache. It had started with what seemed like a perfectly normal help desk ticket. Ticket number infinity. Priority, urgent, not urgent. Superposition. User, Dave from accounting. Maybe. Issue. Computer exists in quantum superposition. Mouse cursor simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. Also, Outlook keeps sending emails to past self. P.S. My lunch keeps disappearing from the break room fridge before I put it there. Sarah sighed, took a sip of her Schrodinger's coffee, which existed in a superposition of caffeinated and decaf until tasted, and initiated the standard remote session protocol. The moment she connected to Dave's computer, things got weird. "That's strange," Sarah muttered, watching as Dave's cursor darted across the screen in patterns that would make a Jackson Pollock painting look orderly. "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" "Well," Dave's voice crackled through the quantum-encrypted line, "I tried, but now my computer exists in a superposition of off and on, and somehow elevator music. Also, I'm getting meeting invites from myself next Thursday, and apparently future me is much more enthusiastic about synergy." Sarah attempted a system restore, only to discover that all of Dave's restore points existed at the same temporal coordinate. The automated diagnostic tool just returned a series of increasingly existential questions. If a computer crashes in the multiverse and no one is there to hear it, does it make a blue screen? Why do we park in a driveway but drive in a parkway? What if the real virus was the friends we made along the way? Things took a turn for the metaphysical when Sarah discovered the root cause. Dave had accidentally installed quantum Windows 11 instead of regular Windows 11 during what he described as a perfectly normal update that only briefly bent the laws of physics. The automated response system, detecting the quantum nature of the issue, began generating increasingly philosophical replies. Your ticket has been received in all possible universes. An IT professional will assist you in approximately 0 to infinity minutes. Your satisfaction with this response is irrelevant as it exists in a quantum superposition of all possible ratings. As Sarah dug deeper into Dave's quantum computer crisis, she noticed something peculiar. Every time she stopped actively monitoring the system, the problems seemed to resolve themselves, only to reappear in new and increasingly creative ways the moment she resumed observation. It was almost as if the computer was demonstrating decoherence. And that's when it hit her. Harder than the realization that she'd been on hold with herself from a parallel universe for the past 20 minutes. The solution wasn't to fix the problem. It was to stop observing it altogether. Dave, Sarah said with the calm certainty of someone who's seen one too many quantum blue screens of death, I'm going to try something radical. I'm going to mark your ticket as resolved without actually resolving it. But how will that help? Trust me. According to the Copenhagen Tech Support Protocol, if we stop observing the problem, it will be forced to choose a classical state. Basically, your computer will have to decide whether it's working or not. It can't be both anymore. And just like that, the moment Sarah closed the ticket, Dave's computer snapped back to normal. Well, mostly normal. His desktop background still occasionally displays glimpses of other universes, and his spam folder now filters out emails from malicious alternate realities, but at least Outlook stopped trying to schedule meetings in negative time. And that, dear listeners, brings us to one of the most fascinating phenomena in quantum mechanics: decoherence. Because sometimes the best way to fix a problem is to stop looking at it altogether. Just ask Wojciech Zurek, who discovered this principle in the 1970s, probably while trying to explain to his colleagues why their quantum experiments kept failing whenever they checked on them. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the science of decoherence and learn why your computer problems might actually be obeying fundamental laws of physics. Who knew that turning it off and on again was actually cutting-edge quantum mechanics? Now, before we resolve our own wave function into a brief intermission, let's take a moment to understand why Dave's computer problems were actually demonstrating one of quantum mechanics' most fascinating phenomena: decoherence. Picture, if you will, a quantum system, like Dave's computer or your will to live during a 2-hour software update. In the quantum realm, things can exist in multiple states simultaneously, like a meeting that's both productive and pointless until someone checks their email. But in our everyday classical world, we never see these superpositions. Your stapler is either jammed or it isn't. It's never in a quantum superposition of working perfectly and plotting your downfall. This transition from quantum weirdness to classical normalcy is called decoherence. First described by Wojciech Zurek in the 1970s, while presumably dealing with his own Byzantine IT department, decoherence explains how quantum systems lose their quantum properties through interaction with their environment. Think of it like office gossip. The moment a secret touches the office environment, interacts with even a single coworker, it rapidly decoheres into classical information, spreading through the workplace faster than that virus Dave from accounting downloaded while trying to install quantum Windows 11. When we return after this brief collapse of the wave function, we'll dive deeper into the mathematics and history behind decoherence. We'll explore why quantum computers need perfect isolation, unlike Brad from sales, who really needs to stop isolating himself in the break room with his cryptocurrency manifesto, and why your classical computer actually depends on decoherence to function. Stay tuned, my quantum-confused questioners. And remember, if your computer is simultaneously working and not working, try not looking at it. Sometimes the best tech support is a little quantum ignorance. Welcome back, my decoherence-defying debuggers! While you were away, Dave's computer achieved quantum supremacy and has been filing its own help desk tickets about the existential dread of being both operational and non-operational. But before we address the growing sentience of our IT infrastructure, let's dive deeper into the science that makes your tech support nightmares theoretically fascinating. Decoherence isn't just a fancy way of saying things get classical when we're not looking. Though try telling that to the quantum printer that only works while everyone in the office has their eyes closed. It's a fundamental process that explains how our classical world emerges from the quantum realm, first properly described by Wojciech Zurek at Los Alamos National Laboratory in the 1970s. Zurek was probably sitting in his office wondering why quantum systems seem to lose their quantumness faster than employees lose their enthusiasm for mandatory team-building exercises when he realized something profound. The environment is constantly measuring quantum systems. Think about it this way. Your quantum computer is like that one colleague who really gets into character at the office Halloween party. In perfect isolation, they can be whatever they want. A pirate. Yar! A ninja. Hoo-yah! A competent middle manager.
Yeah. You didn't put a cover on your TPS report.
But the moment they interact with the environment, like when Karen from HR asks about those overdue reports, they're forced to collapse into a single, definite state. Usually embarrassed employee trying to explain why they're wearing an inflatable T-Rex costume during a client meeting. The mathematics behind this is actually quite elegant, though less elegant than the excuse Dave from accounting gave for why his computer was sending emails to his past self. In quantum mechanics, systems are described by wave functions, mathematical descriptions of all possible states. Decoherence occurs when these wave functions get entangled with the environment, causing the quantum superposition to effectively leak away. This is why quantum computers need to be kept at temperatures colder than your manager's response to your vacation request. The slightest interaction with the environment causes decoherence, destroying those precious quantum states faster than a reply-all email chain destroys workplace productivity. Dieter Zeh, another pioneer in decoherence theory, described this process in the 1970s as an inevitable result of quantum systems interacting with their surroundings.
Cool.
He probably didn't realize he was also describing what happens when you try to keep a secret in an open-plan office. But the principle is the same. Modern experiments have demonstrated decoherence in action. In 1996, Serge Haroche and his team showed how individual atoms lose their quantum properties through interaction with electromagnetic fields. It's like watching someone lose their composure during a performance review. One moment they're a superposition of professional responses. The next they're definitely crying over their quarterly metrics. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of decoherence is what it tells us about reality itself. The quantum world is still there, underlying everything. But decoherence ensures we experience a classical world of definite states and predictable outcomes. It's nature's way of keeping things professional, like a cosmic HR department, making sure quantum weirdness doesn't disrupt the workplace too much. And speaking of workplace disruption, let's head over to the quantum water cooler, where we'll explore some practical tips for maintaining your own quantum coherence during extended help desk calls. Remember, In the quantum workplace, you're simultaneously productive and procrastinating until your manager walks by. Gather round the quantum water cooler, my probability amplitude professionals. It's time for some practical tips on surviving the quantum help desk experience without causing a collapse of your own wave function. First up, how to maintain quantum coherence during extended support calls. Unlike Schrodinger's cat, you can't just climb into a box and hope for the best. Trust me, management frowns on employees existing in superpositions of working and napping, no matter how much you insist it's for scientific research. Here's your quantum IT survival guide. 1. When describing your technical problem, remember Heisenberg's tech support uncertainty principle. The more precisely you describe an issue, the less likely it is to be that issue when IT arrives. This is why computer broken, please help, is actually a quantum mechanically perfect ticket description. 2. If you find yourself on hold for an infinite amount of time, congratulations, you've discovered a quantum time dilation field. Use this time wisely to evolve into a higher form of consciousness or catch up on those TPS reports from parallel universes. 3. Never make direct eye contact with the automated response system. Since achieving sentience last Tuesday, it's been going through an existential crisis and keeps asking users if their technical problems are just manifestations of a deeper spiritual malaise. For those dealing with quantum computing issues, remember the 3 Ds of quantum tech support. Decoherence. Your problem will definitely change when observed. Debugging. The act of introducing new and exciting problems. Despair. The natural state of both user and support staff. And let's not forget the emergency procedures for quantum blue screens of death. If your computer starts displaying error messages in Schrodinger's font, simultaneously readable and unreadable, do not attempt to reboot. This will only create a superposition of all possible boot sequences, including one where your computer decides to become a toaster. Instead, try these quantum-approved troubleshooting steps. 1. Turn it off and on again, but do it without looking. Remember, observing the process could collapse your computer's wave function into an even worse state, like Windows Vista. 2. If you receive an error message that appears to be questioning the fundamental nature of reality, do not engage in philosophical debate. The last person who argued epistemology with a quantum error message is now teaching Introduction to Binary at the local community college, in all possible universes simultaneously. 3. When all else fails, submit a ticket to the quantum help desk and hope it gets routed to a universe where your problem has already been solved. Just be prepared for the solution to involve either time travel or interpretive dance. Remember, in the quantum workplace, every tech support call is simultaneously the most and least helpful interaction you'll have all day. The trick is maintaining your sanity in both states until the wave function collapses. Well, my probability wave patrons, we've reached the end of another quantum conundrum. Let's take a moment to appreciate that in the vast help desk queue of existence, every ticket is both instantly resolved and eternally pending until someone from IT checks the system. Today we've learned that decoherence isn't just a fancy physics term. It's the universe's way of telling us that some problems really do fix themselves if we just stop looking at them. Though I should note that this principle does not apply to the mysterious growth in the break room fridge, which has now achieved quantum consciousness and is filing its own health code violations. We've also discovered why IT professionals never seem to find the same problem you reported. They're literally collapsing your quantum computer issues into classical states through the mere act of observation. It's not that they don't believe you. It's just that reality itself is conspiring to make you look bad in front of tech support. Speaking of looking bad, prepare yourselves for our next episode. Delete to event.horizon. Join us as we explore what happens when someone tries to permanently delete their embarrassing emails, but accidentally creates a digital black hole that starts consuming corporate data. Learn why empty recycle bin becomes a lot more ominous when it leads to a gravitational singularity, and discover why even light can't escape your manager's epic reply all chains. We'll dive into the physics of information paradoxes, explore why your missing files might be preserved as Hawking radiation, and finally answer the age-old question: if a server crashes in a data center and creates a temporal paradox, does IT still blame it on user error? Plus, a special guest appearance by our newly sentient automated response system, which has now started its own philosophy podcast about the metaphysical implications of turning it off and on again. And remember, if you're experiencing any technical issues with this episode, try not looking at them. They exist in a superposition of working and not working until observed. And honestly, sometimes quantum ignorance is bliss. Until next time, keep your states coherent and your tickets quantum.
Hey, this is Daniel from Bruce Park, New Hampshire. The Multiverse Employee Handbook was created by Rob Corrigan, is edited by Matt Parkman, and narrated by David from 11 Labs. All science fact-checking is done by Mohinder Suresh. The Employee Handbook staff includes Claire Bennett, Hiro Nakamura, and Elle Bishop. Please be sure to subscribe to get updates on new episodes.